Okay, so here it says teenager jailed for 18 months after McDonald's fight, still in prison 18 years later under indefinite jail term. Like, who gets indefinite jail terms? Is that a real thing? I've never heard of that. It says by Amy Claire Martin 17 hours ago. This is off a Newsbreak. I guess that's him in that picture. It says a desperate mother has spoken of her anguish after her teenage son was jailed for 18 months, but is still trapped in prison 18 years later under a cruel indefinite jail term. Luke Ings was handed a controversial imprisonment for public protection sentence for robbery and a fight in McDonald's, aged just 17. The jail terms were scrapped in 2012 amid human rights concerns, but not retrospectively, leaving almost 3,000 people languishing in prison with no release date. His devastated mother, Samantha, 57, said Luke, now 36, is trapped with monsters inside maximum security HMP Wakefield, which is home to some of Britain's most serious criminals, having spent his entire adult life inside. Yeah, she said he's trapped in there with monsters. If he's been in there all of this time, this dude didn't, you know, the prison does not rehabilitate people. It creates more criminals. So, I mean, I hate to say that, but that just tends to be what happens. You have to find a way to survive in there. It says she fears unless the government takes urgent action, he will not survive amid soaring rates of suicide and self-harm among IPP prisoners. Yeah, if they've given you a freaking uh no release date, that's like a death sentence, you know? So I could totally see people having really uh, it's an indefinite jail term. It's like, bro, I ain't never getting out of here. So I could see them being having mental health issues and harming themselves. I mean, what would you do? It says it was wrong. They need to sort this out. She told the Independent. I understand if they had murdered someone or sexually assaulted someone. My son was in a fight at McDonald's and a street robbery. See, that part is makes me go because it's like you just a fight at McDonald's and up here they said it was a public protection sentence. So I can't see them. It's just from a fight, and then there's a robbery also. So it just sounds like if I'm the mom, I'm gonna try to downplay what my kid did anyways, probably. But then again, it was a kid. It's like 17 years old. I don't know what you would do to get an indefinite sentence. Like, says he was 17 years old and my mom had died 2 weeks before that. He went off the rails. I don't know what else to do to get him out. Hmm. But they just said the mom made a comment. So what are they? Who's making this quotes? Who is saying this? It says there is no light at the end of the tunnel for him. She said, adding the things. Oh, so her mom, so his grandma. Okay, I get it. It says there's no light at the end of the tunnel for him. She said, adding that things would have been far worse if not for the help of her late father, who sadly did not live to see his grandson's release. I think if it hadn't been for my dad, Luke would not be in prison now. He would be dead. He would have killed himself. At least 90 prisoners have taken their own lives as they lost hope of being freed. A further 30 suicides are said to have taken place in the community, where IPP prisoners are subject to strict license conditions, which can see them being hauled back to prison for minor breaches. Meanwhile, the government has begun releasing other prisoners after serving just 40% of their sentence to ease prison overcrowding in a move branded as a slap in the face to IPP prisoners. This is written kind of weird. IPP sentences do not fall under the government's SDS 40 early release scheme, which is expected to see 5,500 prisoners walk free by the end of October, despite more than 700 IPP prisoners having served at least 10 years longer than their minimum sentence. They seriously need to look at this, the mother added. They will empty some of their prisons if they release IPP prisoners. The only fear is some of them have been in there that long. Are they going to be able to cope on the outside? She said that almost 2 decades of incarceration has left her once confident and well-mannered son, who has autism, as a nervous man who struggles to make eye contact. His younger sister Millie, now 21, was just 7 months old when he was handed an IPP sentence. I don't even know her really. Says, but Miss Ings from Bracknell, Berkshire, says she still keeps Luke's clothes in a drawer at home and I hope one day he will be allowed home. My little girl, she was 7 months old when he got put in prison. It's so unfair. She missed 20 years of her brother, she said. It's horrendous the way that they have treated them. And I know it's not just him. It's like our family's not whole. We are missing someone. Every Christmas, every birthday, every Easter, anytime we get together, he's missing. Labour peer Lord Woodley has called for a free vote on a new private member bill in the House of Lords to resentence all IPP prisoners. He has branded the jail terms torture sentences and said keeping almost 3,000 prisoners locked up under an abolished jail term in the midst of a prison overcrowding crisis makes no sense at all. The bill comes after Independent has repeatedly called for all IPP prisoners to have their sentences reviewed. It has already been backed by the architect of the flawed sentence, Lord Blunkett, the chair of the Prison Officers Association of Campaigners. Yeah, so this is a problem over there and over here. I mean, they make so much money off of these prisons. That's really what this is about. It goes on. In an appeal to the recently elected government earlier this summer, the UN Special Rapporteur on Torture, Dr. Alice Jill Edwards, called for urgent action to help those serving the inhumane sentences. The former chair of the Justice Select Committee, Sir Bob Neill, has also urged the Prime Minister to have the political and moral courage to do the right thing and re-sentence IPP prisoners. Under IPP sentences, prisoners must prove to the parole board that they do not pose a risk to the public before they can be released under strict license conditions. Ms. Ing said Luke was left devastated after probation recommended him for release last year, with a place at a hostel lined up, only for parole to turn him down at the last minute. That's what happens. It says, she said, I can't understand it. They're just finding reasons to not let him have parole. It's a joke. It's about time somebody gave him a break and let him come home. A Minister of Justice spokesperson said, it is the right that IPP sentences were abolished. It is right that IPP sentences were abolished. The Lord Chancellor is committed to working with organizations and campaign groups to ensure the appropriate course of action is taken to support those still serving IPP sentences. The prison service continues to provide additional support to those still in custody, including improving access to rehabilitation programs and mental health support. Yeah, that's not going to help them when they feel like they ain't never going to get out. Really, really sad. Indefinite prison sentence. Bro, I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do, man. I mean, try to get a really good lawyer. How you gonna beat that though? You already got the case. I don't know how you beat that. That's so terrible.
We learn better when we